Nicole Kidman has made her first public appearance since her split from Keith Urban.
We've been through a lot together.
We've got a timeline for it now, and the time is now.
For nearly 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban seemed to have the kind of marriage Hollywood rarely sees. She was an Academy Award-winning actress. He was one of country music's biggest stars. Together, they appeared to prove that love could survive fame, pressure, and the spotlight. At every red carpet event, they smiled, held hands, and spoke warmly about each other. Interviews painted a picture of a couple deeply in love, raising two daughters while balancing two extraordinary careers. Fans admired them because their relationship felt genuine. After years of seeing celebrity marriages fall apart, Nicole and Keith looked different. But according to the source material, that image eventually began to crack. After almost 19 years of marriage, Nicole reportedly filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. What appeared to be a quiet legal decision quickly became one of the entertainment world's biggest stories. The couple who had spent years convincing the public they could overcome every challenge was suddenly facing the end of their relationship. The source describes how the news shocked fans around the world. Questions immediately began to surface. What had gone wrong? Why had one of Hollywood's most admired couples reached this point? And what had been happening behind closed doors that no one had fully seen? The attention intensified when Keith Urban took the stage for his first reported concert after the divorce news. According to the source, fans noticed he was no longer wearing his wedding ring. During the performance, he also reportedly changed the lyrics of one of the songs, leading many audience members and media outlets to speculate that the changes reflected his emotions about the breakup. Whether intentional or not, every gesture was analyzed. Meanwhile, Nicole remained largely silent. Instead of speaking publicly about the divorce, she focused on her work and family, allowing her actions, not interviews, to tell her story. That silence only fueled even more speculation. But to understand how one of Hollywood's strongest marriages reportedly reached this point, we have to go back to the very beginning. Long before the wedding, before the fame they shared, and before they became the couple everyone believed would last forever. Long before they became one of Hollywood's most recognizable couples, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were living very different lives. Yet, according to the source material, they shared something important in common. Both carried emotional scars from their past and were searching for a fresh start. Nicole had already experienced enormous success in Hollywood, but her personal life had been far more complicated. Following the end of her marriage to Tom Cruise, she reportedly faced one of the most painful periods of her life. Although she rebuilt her career with acclaimed performances and major awards, the source describes her as still longing for stability, family, and a lasting relationship away from the constant public attention. Keith Urban's journey was equally challenging. As his music career continued to grow in Nashville, he was also dealing with well-documented struggles involving addiction. Despite becoming one of country music's biggest stars, the source explains that he feared his personal battles could destroy everything he had worked so hard to achieve. Their paths finally crossed in 2005 at the Day USA event in Los Angeles. According to the source, their first meeting wasn't an instant fairy tale. Keith reportedly waited months before contacting Nicole after they exchanged phone numbers. But once they reconnected, their relationship moved quickly. Within a year, they were engaged, and in June 2006, they married in a beautiful ceremony in Sydney, Australia. Fans celebrated what looked like the perfect love story. Two successful Australians had found each other after years of heartbreak, and many believed they had finally discovered the happiness they had both been missing. However, the honeymoon period was short-lived. Only a few months after their wedding, Keith entered rehab for alcohol addiction. Instead of walking away, Nicole reportedly stood firmly beside him. The source describes her visiting him during treatment and supporting his recovery despite intense media attention. Keith would later credit her support as playing a major role during one of the most difficult chapters of his life. For many people, this moment defined their marriage. Nicole became the steady source of strength, while Keith fought to overcome his personal demons. Together, they appear to prove that love, patience, and commitment could overcome even the toughest challenges. At least, that's what the world believed. From the outside, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban appeared stronger than ever. They attended award shows together, praise one another in interviews, and raise their two daughters while continuing to build remarkable careers. To millions of fans, they represented one of the few celebrity marriages that had truly stood the test of time. But according to the source material, the reality behind the scenes was becoming far more complicated. As the years passed, both stars faced demanding schedules that often pulled them in different directions. Nicole's acting career required long periods on film sets around the world, while Keith spent months touring and recording music. The source states that they reportedly tried to avoid spending long stretches apart, but maintaining that balance became increasingly difficult. Parenting also brought different approaches. According to the source, Nicole preferred structure, routine, and protecting their daughters from the pressures of celebrity life. Keith, meanwhile, was described as a more relaxed parent, encouraging fun and flexibility. These differences weren't dramatic public fights, but the source suggests they slowly created tension inside the family. Another challenge was the pressure of maintaining their public image. For years, they had become symbols of lasting love. Every red carpet appearance, every affectionate interview, and every public display of support reinforced the belief that their marriage was unbreakable. The source argues that this image eventually became a burden of its own. Fans expected perfection, and every appearance seemed to carry the weight of protecting that reputation. Meanwhile, media speculation never completely disappeared. Entertainment magazines regularly published stories questioning the state of their relationship. According to the source, both Nicole and Keith consistently denied those rumors, often appearing together shortly afterward to reassure the public that everything was fine. Yet the source also claims that, privately, unresolved issues continued to grow. It describes Nicole as becoming increasingly exhausted by always feeling responsible for holding the relationship together, while Keith reportedly struggled with feeling restricted by constant concern over his past addiction. These characterizations are presented in the source as accounts from unnamed insiders rather than confirmed statements from either Nicole or Keith. By the early 2020s, the source says the distance between them had become harder to ignore. Public appearances together became less frequent, rumors intensified, and observers began noticing subtle changes that fueled even more speculation. The fairy tale that millions had admired for nearly 2 decades was beginning to unravel, and the most dramatic chapter was still to come. According to the source material, years of private struggles eventually reached a breaking point. The source states that in late 2025, Nicole Kidman reportedly filed for divorce after nearly 19 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences. While the legal filing itself was described as straightforward, its impact was enormous. Fans around the world were stunned that one of Hollywood's most admired couples had reportedly decided to end their marriage. The source portrays the decision as one Nicole had struggled with for months. It claimed she had hoped to preserve the family for the sake of their daughters, but ultimately concluded that the relationship could no longer continue. These descriptions are presented in the source as reported accounts rather than confirmed statements from Nicole herself. The public reaction intensified only days later. According to the source, Keith Urban made his first concert appearance after the divorce news without wearing his wedding ring. That detail immediately attracted widespread attention, with fans and entertainment media closely examining every moment of the performance. The source also claims that Keith altered the lyrics of one of the songs during the concert, changing the phrase, "take your space and take your reasons" to "take your unreasonable reasons." Many fans interpreted the lyric change as a reference to the reported breakup, although the source does not provide confirmation that Keith intended it that way. Another moment that drew attention, according to the source, was the reported removal of The Fighter from his set list, a song many fans had long associated with his relationship with Nicole. The source suggests this fueled even more speculation that he was distancing himself from memories of their marriage. Meanwhile, Nicole reportedly chose a very different approach. Rather than responding publicly, the source describes her as remaining focused on work and spending time with her daughters. She reportedly avoided making emotional public statements, allowing the legal filing and her actions to speak for themselves. According to the source, this quiet response contrasted sharply with the intense public attention surrounding Keith's performances. As media coverage exploded, every appearance, photograph, and interview became headline news. Fans debated who was right, who was wrong, and what had truly happened behind closed doors. But beneath the speculation, The source leaves readers with a more personal question. After nearly 2 decades together, was this simply the end of marriage, or the closing chapter of a love story that had quietly been falling apart for years? According to the source material, the reported end of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's marriage marked the close of one of Hollywood's longest-running celebrity love stories. After nearly 2 decades together, the couple who had become symbols of resilience were now moving forward on separate paths. The source describes Nicole as focusing her attention on the people who mattered most, her daughters and her career, rather than making emotional public statements. She reportedly chose privacy. Public appearances remained professional and composed, while her personal life stayed largely out of the spotlight. According to the source, her priority became creating stability for her family during a difficult transition. Keith Urban, on the other hand, is portrayed in the source as turning to music. His concerts reportedly took on a more emotional tone, with fans closely analyzing his performances, lyrics, and stage presence for clues about his state of mind. The source suggests that music became his outlet for processing the changes in his personal life, although Keith himself has not publicly confirmed many of the interpretations made by fans and media. Throughout the reported divorce, speculation dominated headlines. Anonymous insiders, entertainment magazines, and social media users all offered different explanations for what had happened. But as the source itself illustrates, much of the discussion centered on reported accounts and public observations rather than verified statements from Nicole or Keith. What remains undeniable is the impact their relationship had on millions of people. For years, they represented hope that love could survive heartbreak, addiction, demanding careers, and the pressures of worldwide fame. Their story inspired countless fans who believed lasting relationships were still possible in Hollywood. If the reported separation truly marks the end of their journey together, it also serves as a reminder that public appearances rarely reveal the full picture. Every marriage has private struggles, and even the strongest-looking relationships can face challenges the outside world never sees. Whether history remembers Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban for their reported divorce, or for the nearly 20 years they spent building a family and supporting one another, their relationship will remain one of the most talked-about celebrity love stories of its generation. What are your thoughts? Do you think fame and constant public attention make it impossible for celebrity marriages to survive? Or do you believe lasting love is still possible in Hollywood? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the biggest stories from Hollywood. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.